Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and I'm doing an overview on the Tier 7 Russian destroyer, the Kiev. And this is a skin by Tans, of course. Usual link in the description, all that stuff. Gorgeous. I think this is one of the best skinned models in the game, and I love how it looks. So, jumping into the nitty gritty with this, the Kiev, which was much hyped for me, yeah, has a limitation on the health, and it's really low. It's the second lowest of the tier 7 destroyers. The Sims has like 13.8, the Bliss 15.5, Mayhem 14.1. The Hatsu only has 12,100, so that's pretty bad. But that kind of dictates how you play this because you have the speed, but you don't have the health to be able to take an extra salvo of damage there. So it has about 11 kilometer range stock and a little bit over 12 when you get the FCS upgrade, but when you add AFT, you go up to 14.7. You're not going to stealth fire with this, and that's not what you need to do anyways. And I'll get to that, of course, over time. But when you fire, you go up to 14.9 kilometers detection, and you have to remember Russian destroyers have a +2 kilometer penalty on when they fire the guns compared to the Japanese and, well, basically anybody else. So you would be able to stealth fire in a different ship with all these same stats, but because it's Russian, you can't. So you get the hull upgrade, and things start to improve a little bit in terms of the maneuverability, which is unfortunately one of the weakest points of the ship as well. The speed is great. Everything else about the ship in terms of being able to turn is not. It does have some AA defense. I wouldn't expect much there, but it does also have a pair of quintuple launchers here, and they're mounted midships, centerline, and they have a long reload considering that they're only 4 kilometer range. Your upgrade brings it down 4 seconds. You get a healthy little boost to damage, but you trade that off with slower torps. So you go from 70 knots to 65, and I prefer the 65 knot ones. I guess. I don't know. I don't really think there's many situations where at that range it's going to make too much of a difference. But if they connect, I'd rather have the higher damaging ones as opposed to the faster ones, I guess. I don't know. Looking at the gun stats, though, very fast reload rate of 4.5 seconds. Of course, that's affected by basic firing training. Your shell, let's see, your HE shells have an 8% chance of fire. Your AP has a 2500 citadel damage, your max AP damage, and so on and so forth. But decent shell velocity too, good arc, but you'll see that here in a moment. It has a massive turning radius, and the rudder shift with steering gear mod is down to 3.9 seconds, which is pretty bad. And of course, I do run the accuracy mod on this to try to tighten that dispersion up as much as I can, because you have such an emphasis on guns that it's really important to try to get those clumped up together on the same target. Of course, speed is life, so protect your propulsion, and of course go with the steering gear mod as well. I don't recommend the propulsion mod because you'll again see why when we get into the video. I did also want to point out too that you could run the turret traverse improvement on the second module slot, but it's not a knife fighter, so I really don't suggest that. Like, I don't actually run expert marksman on this. It has an 18.6 second 180 degree turret traverse. That may be the last skill I get for it, but we'll see. I do run basic firing training, last stand, of course. I'm actually probably going to switch this out and take vigilance over superintendent. I really keep forgetting to do that, and I do run AFT. Demolition expert is going to be a number one skill for me to get to once I get things squared away. But vigilance is important because you're going so damn fast that you need all the time you can get to be able to react to incoming torpedoes. And you shouldn't necessarily be up front, but at the same time, you're going to be all over the place in a ship like this because you're so damn quick. And concealment expert is useless on this. Again, you're a gunboat in the purest sense. You are meant to keep those guns blazing away, and it serves the purpose of distracting opponents and getting them off their game, making them turn broadside to try to, get all their guns to bear on you and finish you off, which opens them up to your teammates, hopefully, and so on and so forth. But of course, I think the speed flag boosts things up even further to 44 knots, and you with the consumable, the speed boost consumable, holy crap, you're up to like 47.4 knots, something like that. Just insane. And of course, the camo colors for the Russian ships I love them. I wish all the ships had the same camo color, but looks really great. And with the cleaned up skin from tans, it makes the colors pop even more. So I really like that look there. The premium camo is 2,000 gold. I haven't bought any of those yet. I don't know if I'm going to. Maybe for the Fletcher or something, because that seems like a good thing to do for that ship. But let's get into some gameplay and see how this behaves. So this is actually the first match that I played with the Kiev, and this was back when I was having a lot of issues. There was a number of replay bugs, and you'll see a couple of them in this and then a later clip. But basically where the icons were sticking on the screen, and I couldn't record anything. Like a lot of my really good first matches and stuff, they were a total wash because the icons would stick all over the place and just really sucked. But this was going to be an interesting match just because of the fact that they had such an they had a good set of destroyers, but all of them ended up here at sea on hotspot, and I wasn't really expecting to run into everybody, so this isn't really something that I advise doing. And what you're generally going to see with these clips with the Kiev is my progression in understanding how to play it and how to try to approach it, or more to the point, what worked best for me and what I think works best for the ship. It's not really something you want to stick to a cap with, with nearly 9km or 9km without the camo. With 9km detection, even if you went with a concealment expert and stuff like that, you get on the cap, you're gonna get spotted by everything else that's near the cap, and the second you fire, everybody within 15 kilometers is going to see you. That's pretty damn rough. And the problem with that is it's a ship that really just has to be full tilt all the time, and I was really playing cautious here because I didn't know what to do with the ship. Like at least initially I was really concerned about running into their whole team, because I kind of made the mistake of just pushing right into sea at the start, and I should have skirted around the edges, scouted a little bit, and been ready to turn tail right when I saw that there were multiple bad guys and whatnot. And you can see Matt here in his Atlanta right ahead of me. He doesn't have the icon over him, so yeah, you're gonna see just in a second. Yeah, they're just, all the icons are all over the place, but there's a worse example of that later on. But one of the things I found that the Kiev does really well is when those battleships are across the map and they're focusing on other people, my god, you just lay down the fire upon them and you get those fires started. The AP works decently well. You'll see some better examples of that later. I'm not, well, at least against battleships, I'm not too fond of using strictly AP unless I'm really close range. I want to try to maximize the shell penetration, and I don't think that outside of like say 10 kilometers the AP is worth it at all in terms of doing consistent damage. I mean, the goal is first and foremost to get these guys on fire and to get them burning their repairs, burning their heals, and basically trying to make sure that if they get hit by a torpedo or set on fire by a teammate, their repairs are on cooldown, or they're burning through a heal and making it, less effective. They're not able to gain back the health that they lost from previous fires. And that is I would say, the real strength of using a ship like this in such a way that gives you the opportunity to really affect a greater scope of the map in a shorter period of time than a lot of other ships. And I will say the Buddy is one of the most dangerous ships you could face, and same with the Shores, of course, because it has an additional turret, and my god, you just get... I've been too salvoed by those things. Like, they're just damn nasty. But you could see the AP at work there, and it was alright. There's a better example against some other targets, but it really, of course, because you are relying on smaller shells here, they're even more susceptible to the angling issue. So if you're not flat, and you're going to see a fairly good example here, if you're not flat on the side with these guys, you're probably not going to do much with AP. And this is actually one of the other examples too of why I had such a hard time playing the ship. I did a good job anticipating the drop, but that was really close, right? And now there's a second set of the torp bombers, and I make a mistake here. I actually hesitated. I wanted to cut in to my right, and instead I was pulling to the left, and this was one of those stupid moments where I'm like, son of a bitch. And then he dropped, and luckily, I only take one torp. And the thing is, you know, the propulsion mod makes sense for a ship like this, but at the same time, you need all the help you can get in turning, and having that ability to flip that rudder hard left or right, and, you know, get those turns when you need them, because carriers will come after you, and you are, comparatively speaking, for as far as destroyers are concerned, you're an easy target for them, and it only gets worse from this point forward. The Khabarovsk, the Tashkent, Udaloy, they're fantastic ships in their own way, and the problem is they are, as far as destroyers are concerned, they've got to be the easiest damn things to hit from everything I've seen. You know, it looks like carrier players love going after these guys. They're just, they don't turn very well. So, but against lower tier ships, you could do stuff like that. A 5 Citadel salvo, and racked up a total of 9 on the side of that Omaha in a very short period of time. Would have done better, of course, if I didn't miss that one salvo entirely. And here we are again with the damn icon sticking. But you see where I was before, and you see where I am now. I'm on the other side of the map. I have found with this ship, I've gone after enemy carriers way more than I have in any other ship. And it's not because I'm seeking them out, it's just because I'm so damn fast that I end up slipping through the cracks and, you know, getting behind the enemy and making stuff happen. So, enemy New Mexico here, and I launched one set of torps trying to get along the side, give myself a better shot, but I decided to go ahead and fire the second set because I was totally expecting to get killed here, and I wanted to make sure I got that other set of torps off. I get 2 hits right there, still firing at the enemy Ryujo, and another hit, unfortunately only 1, and then of course the match ends. But this was one of my better overall matches too. And again, at this point I was still trying to defend caps and that sort of thing, which is just not the strength of this type of ship. You really got to let other people jump in and do that stuff for you, and try to support them by having a bit more range between you and, say, these destroyers here. And the reason I say that is because you have good shell speed, but a really, like, comparatively speaking to the US destroyers, a much flatter arc. So that gives you a better chance of actually hitting the target, as opposed to, you know, you have say a 7-second shell travel time for the same distance, where it's like 4.5 seconds on the Kiev. You know, I'm just throwing that out there as an example. That's 2.5 seconds extra time for that enemy ship, that target, to maneuver, while you have in the Kiev, you know, they've only got 4.5 seconds to either switch direction or whatever the hell. And that makes a huge difference over the course of a match. You know, let me put it to you this way. The way that US destroyers brawl at, say, like sub 6-7 kilometers is the way that a Kiev would brawl at 12 kilometers. That's kind of like the same thing for it. And that's really the area where it is able to, I wouldn't say dominate, but it's able to really make itself shine, where you're able to use that ridiculous speed and that low shell arc and the fast shell travel, and all of these you know, 6 shells that are able to, you know, come down on the given target rather quickly. I think that's really its strength. And it took me a while to figure this out. I was playing too close, I was playing it too much like a US destroyer for quite a while, and then I started figuring it out, and I started playing more in the open water areas. And of course, you're still not seeing that in the video that I'm showing you here. There was a Cleveland that was coming up here, and I realized that if I pushed forward any further, he was gonna wreck the hell out of me once I got exposed. So you see him right there, and it looks like he's gonna come through the gap here. I've got my friendly destroyer right ahead of me. It looks like he's gonna try to do a torp run while I'm still harassing these battleships, and I'm detected. So the Cleveland knows I'm here, but he's got to deal with the destroyer right in front of him first. And yeah, it looks like he's holding his own down there. Alright, so I'll get some more fires going, and it's very rare to use torps in this ship, by the way. I mean, 4 kilometers is just not enough range. I fire one set and I wait, and then fire the second one, because he's going to slow down once he sees the first one, and walk right into the second set. Booyah! Yay! Yeah, it's not very common to use the torps. It's certainly one of those last ditch situations. But again, I find an enemy Lexington this time, and I'm pursuing over to A, and this was just a happenstance type of thing. I did not go looking for this guy, and I just ended up being right there at the right spot. And you should be able to rack up some pretty significant shell hit streaks, as you can see on the right side here is closing in on 70, and overall you should be very capable of hitting 150, 200, 250, 300 shell hits in a given match. A lot of those are going to end up being the breakups, the non-penetrating shell hits, and that really sucks. But you'll see that in one of the screenshots at the end. But the way it works out is constant harassment, and I think that's ultimately the strength here, as I barely survived a bomb drop. I got so lucky there. But this is my most recent clip that I recorded with the Kiev, and what I'm doing here is I'm actually driving based off of the minimap. So I'm letting my guns, because this guy doesn't seem to be adjusting his heading, his course, his speed at all. So I'm just driving based off of the minimap and trying to get close to the islands and that sort of thing. This is the type of ship that you can do that once you realize that there's no real threat, and they had their destroyer spotted over, I think it was at A, and so I was like, cool, I got free reign to do whatever I want here. But I was using AP a little bit more frequently here, and the Amagi shot his back 3 turrets at me, and I'm trying to go perpendicular here, so his front turrets can't engage me. And you're going to see that kind of piss him off, because he's going to start turning out a little bit right there, and this is the type of thing I'm talking about. I'm taking his head out of the game. He's not thinking about survival, he's still looking at me, and I'm still getting hits, still getting fires, that sort of thing. Ended up killing him, and immediately switched targets to initially the Otago over there, and then over to the Colorado. And I'm switching over to AP because I should be able to get some decent hits on the superstructure with the AP and get some damage. And you would be amazed if you haven't played much in the way of the Russian destroyers. The way the damage can rack up with AP against battleships is astounding. And you'll see this, well, I have a Khabarovsk video that's coming up that you don't get to see it enough, but I can tell you that it's very effective in the right situation, and you start racking up 2,500, 3,500, 4,000 damage per salvo with AP, at a relatively close range, and you're doing this every few seconds. I mean, it does not take long for a battleship to just start having his health disappear. But I was doing a hell of a dance here. This whole open water thing, I mean, you can see me just twirling all over the place. The Otago's having a hell of a time trying to hit me. I'm trying to always keep my guns in action and engaging targets. Right after I fire at the Otago, I switch over to the Amagi, and I start trying to get some fires on him, that sort of thing. One of the more frequent questions I've had about the Kiev in particular is related to Survivability Expert, and I can't say I can recommend it at all, because if you're taking survivability expert, you're not taking AFT, or you're not taking demolition expert, and both of those I think are far more important than what survivability expert is able to provide. And I say that because demolition expert is incredibly important because of the fact that you're shooting so damn much in a given match, hopefully, and you're able to hopefully start more fires. And then if you look at AFT, that range is life. If you're playing at range, you know, you've got almost 15 kilometers to work with. It makes such a damn difference being able to, in like your sphere of influence, you know, something I try to harp on as often as I can. You know, that range gives you options. It gives you, you know, new targets that you can lay down some fire upon. You can really distract them, that sort of thing. It just makes such a difference. And I mean, the four main things you got to get is last stand, vigilance, demolition expert, and AFT. Without those, I don't think the Kiev is worth a damn. So, and by the way, try to stay away from Fletchers and Bensons. God, they just absolutely shred the ship. I found out the hard way. Even some of the lower tier destroyers, you get too close to them, yeah, this ship does not fare well in some of those knife fights. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the gameplay section of this. Expect a lot of non-penetrating hits, by the way, as you saw with that first screenshot from the last match. 158 out of 326 shells hit. They didn't do any damage, but some of them did start fires. Yay. I mean, the ship has grown on me. I'll say that much. The more I play it, the more I get a better understanding of how I should play it. And it's actually making me better with the Bliskovica, Bliss, whatever. And you'll be seeing some footage on that pretty soon. But I don't think it's as good as what people want to try to say it is. Maybe I just went in with too much in the way of expectations, or, you know, it was overhyped for me and I kind of bought into it. And, you know, that's my fault. But it's a solid ship. It's very, very capable, and it's incredibly dangerous. This is the type of ship that has to be killed when you see it, when it's spotted, when it's firing. You gotta take it out. It's just too damn pesky. You just can't let this thing live. But obviously got a lot more videos coming up. Hopefully tier 3 through 6 German battleship preview will be up no later than Sunday. And hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I look forward to the comments below, and I will see you back here soon. Take care.